Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Happy May 15th, and happy anniversary to me and Bishop Roger. 32 bliss-filled years. So we are looking forward to a day of relaxation today and being together. So this morning, I'm going to get started right away. Our word for the day, chosen from words that you have all posted. The word for the day is trying. Somebody said, I'm trying. And kind of hooked to that is as well the word intentional. So these are words from your stay at home spots. Trying, like I'm trying, and intentional. So I want to do a little reflection on those today. And if you have words that you didn't get to post and you wanted me to address, I kind of have next week all laid out, but always looking for new words. So if you have an experience of being, in the stay-at-home of a word, a good word or a bad word, it's okay. Whatever you would say if you were to title this time that you've been at home, what would be the kind of the overarching title of your experience on lockdown? So today the word is trying. Thank you, Pam. Happy anniversary. I appreciate that. So, since we're going to use the word, primarily the word trying, when the person who posted that, it was after the live session, or I would think I might have inquired. But the idea would have asked her, "What are you trying?" What are you trying to do? My understanding of the post was that she's trying to do something, and yet it's somehow there's an implication that she is failing to accomplish what it is that she is trying to do. So the question, if that's the case, then the question that I would ask next is, on what standard are you failing? By what standard are you measuring the fact that you're trying, but that implication is that you are not succeeding in accomplishing a goal that you have set up for you, a small goal or a large goal, or that this whole time was a time of attempting to reach some end game that couldn't be achieved. So that made me think about one of the things. My father had many little sayings that have stuck to me over the years. Some of them are good sayings and some of them are not so good sayings. This one, I'm not sure if it's a good saying or a bad saying because it used to work, but I'm not sure either theologically or in life skills that this is a really good one. He would say, and I would say, I'm trying, I can't. And he would say, I can't means I don't want to. You see, a little Missouri Synod guilt on that one. It's like obviously you're not trying hard enough, or you don't want it enough, or something about you is failing. And so that just makes the attempt, even that the success for the attempt is sort of impossible. So I thought, okay, what's a good Bible passage to address this idea that we try, we try, we try, we fail, we fail, we fail. We just don't get a hold of what it is that we want to accomplish. And alongside this, I want to cast another word that someone else wrote down, which was intentional. So let's kind of play around with how these two words work together. Trying, with the implication of not succeeding, and intentional. It makes me very happy to know that even some of the great faithful people of the Bible and of the early church didn't succeed exactly the way they had hoped. And one of those was Paul. Dear Paul, who started out as Saul, who started out with a whole different agenda and a whole different mission to accomplish until Jesus kind of knocked him off his horse and said, Paul, you're not listening. Um, Paul was a Pharisee, probably, or trained by Pharisees, and he understood the law. He knew about the Jewish law. He knew what was right. He knew what was wrong. He knew what standard he was supposed to be living by. And it was Jesus himself who said, you know what? Not quite going the way I want you to go. But later, as Paul was writing his letters, in his great letter to the Romans, this is one of the best things I like to read when I'm in one of those I just can't get where I want to get times. He's struggling with the law and his own sinful nature. So this is very Paul too, the way he writes. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am of the flesh, sold into slavery under sin. I do not understand my own actions, for I do not do what I want, but I do the very thing I hate. Now, if I do what I do not want, I agree that the law is good. But in fact, it is no longer I that do it, but the sin that dwells within me. For I know that nothing good dwells within me, that is, in my flesh. I can will what is right, but I cannot do it. For I do not do the good I want, but the evil I do not want is what I do. Now, if I do what I do not want, it is no longer I that do it, but sin that dwells within me. Okay, so you can say when you fail, the devil made me do it, or sin made me do it. I don't think this is a cop out. I think this is Paul really, really struggling with the idea that when he has a place or a goal that he wants to accomplish, he is at odds with himself. And he's trying to explain the difference between the spiritual life and the life of the flesh. That the life of the spirit easily can keep the law and keep from sinning and so on and so forth. And yet it is the flesh that the sinful flesh, that continues to miss the mark or fail. Now, keep in mind that the original foundational definition of sin, the word Greek word hamartia, there's your Greek for the week. Hamartia, the original word for sin, literally means missing the mark, as if you were shooting an arrow into a target and missing the mark. So here Paul is struggling with the fact that when he looks at his life, when he looks at how he is acting and how he is working and trying to get to his goal, intentionally working towards doing the right thing and being faithful, and then he watches himself do exactly what he doesn't want to do. Gee, have any of us ever felt that way before? Um, have you ever heard stupid things coming out of your mouth and thinking, who is saying that? How is that happening? How is that coming out of my mouth? That's what Paul was talking about. Those things where we know the good that we want to do, and yet we watch ourselves not doing the good that we want to do. So that's where we get into the intentionality. Our intentionality, our intention is to do the right thing, to be kind, to be generous, to be faithful. And yet sometimes we just watch ourselves not doing that and wonder why. Okay, so we continue to struggle with that. That's just kind of our life course as we struggle with the effects of sin on our lives and the effects of the world on our lives, which is one of the reasons why I think being in this stay-at-home situation is truly a gift, to give us that time to ponder the standards, to be in a place where we can reflect on our lives and our goals and our intentions. And I am very aware, as I say that there are some of you who have children for whom this has not been a very reflective time, but a constant time of activity. But I hope that the end game for you is precious moments and a wonderful relationship with your children that might not have developed quite this way had things gone as they had gone. So I'm going to leave you with some absolutely wonderful advice from Yoda, who says, don't try, do. In other words, and that's a very deeply theological action, because what Yoda is telling us, just live, live. And if you fail, you fail. But if you don't try, then what kind of life is that? Luther talked about, and we only use the first part of the phrase, but Luther talked about sin boldly. Live, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to somehow not achieve a goal, because sometimes our expectations for ourselves, especially, are just not real. But the bottom line of this whole thing is we are justified not by our works, not by what we achieve, not by what we do, but by God's grace. So it is not about us, once again. It is about how God treats us, not what kind of works and rewards and accomplishments we pile up to fatten up our resume to get us into heaven. We're already claimed. We're already saved. We're already forgiven. So just relax. How many times have I used that word over these days? Just relax and live. You know in your heart what is right. You know in your heart that your intention is to do what is right. And when you fail, you ask forgiveness. You mend the relationship that you may have stained or tarnished a little bit, and you move forward. Because forgiveness, grace, which is undeserved mercy or forgiveness, means that we are freed from the guilt. And to attempt perfection is not ours to do, because only God is perfect. So God made you just the way you are, and God loves you just the way you are. And somebody emailed me the other day and asked me to repeat my little trinity of God loves you sayings. So here they are again. God loves you no matter what. God loves you better than you love yourself. And God loves you, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's one of my favorite collections of sayings. So we have knowing that we try, knowing that we have in our hearts and in our very DNA the way to succeed, and I put that in air quotes because the success that God has and expects of us is not that we would lead a perfect life, but that we would lead a faithful life, that we would constantly be turning towards God. After we live and after we fail, that we ask for forgiveness, or we ask for help in healing a broken relationship, or putting together some kind of something to build back the damage that we may have done. So this little poem is called Prayer Before an Empty Tree. Jesus, you move through each season with your magic wand. One by one, you have taken my leaves from me. I am the story of your emptiness, and you have told me well. The part of me that feels stripped cries out to you, how can I give shade with so much gone? Again, I feel your magic wand. You speak to me of an inner shade whose name is peace, the gift that comes from letting go. Your story continues to be told in me. Your story continues to unfold in me. And suddenly, when I look again, I realize what you have taken from me has only made me free to see. I am your story of glory. Okay, all you empty trees who feel like you're not doing enough, get over it. You are perfect in God's sight. You are doing everything because God loves you in a way that says, I'm trying. And as Yoda said, this week, don't try, do. And if you don't, God will be there to give you a big hug and say, it's going to be okay. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope the rain stops and we can get outside and breathe some of that fresh air and just enjoy God's good creation. I love you all and I miss you, and we will see each other next Monday. Well, I'll see you or you'll see me on Sunday. Maybe Zoom coffee after church, worship at 10. I'll see you soon. Have a good day.